Hello everyone. Welcome on in. I'm Velvet and thanks for joining me today for this amazing speed build for a Frutiger Aero home. And it might not be a style that you're overly familiar with, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But first off, how are you today? I hope you're well. We are in The Sims 4 creating a very special home that I built with no CC and definitely mods. I didn't use Tool, I just used basically Better Build By from Twisted Mixie. So that's the mod I used, but otherwise it's all just, and that's basically just cheats. So you're building cheats, move objects on, definitely important for this build, so don't be shy with putting that on before you place it. The other thing that I use for this build that is a little bit different, because I usually don't go down this route, is I used custom gallery art. So you'll see that a little bit later on when I'm doing the interior. So that's actually no CC art from the gallery. So it's not counted as being CC in the game. Up on the gallery, the lot is not considered to be CC, but it does use some special art that you might not otherwise see in the game. So it's downloaded from the gallery and placed into the house. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later and the problems that I had with that. So the idea, or this home came about because of a redeem on my Twitch channel. I do have channel points over on Twitch and you can redeem them for Build Me a House Val. And this was redeemed by the lovely Alchemistic Sims, so thank you for redeeming that. It was such an interesting build for me. I had a lot of fun trying to understand this style of build and how to turn it into something that could be made in The Sims. It's not the easiest thing, but the idea, I guess, behind this style of build is that this is how I pictured it anyway. So Frutiger Aero is just kind of, it's almost got like a futuristic feel, in the sense that it uses a lot of white, that sort of ultra modern, sort of slightly futuristic feel to it. And it's kind of glowy. That's the sense I got to it as well. It used white, and then as a counterpoint, it uses like bright colors against that white to really make those colors pop. And the colors that I chose for this build were kind of like the aqua, the aquas and the blues, and then I went a little bit different in the bedrooms, but sort of, the aquas and the blues were the colors that really I wanted to make pop against the white. And the other part of it is also leaning into water, so it had like quite a strong watery theme to it, and you'll see that particularly when I get to the interior. It's definitely very water themed. So again, just like really digging into sort of the greeny blues, aquas, and just into the sort of like watery things like your mermaids and like your bubbles and like aquariums and things like that. So yeah, and it's got kind of like, it's going to sound weird thing to say, but like a kind of a plasticky kind of rounded feel. And I don't know how much I captured that within the build, just because it was very difficult to do in The Sims 4. Particularly like the things like all the beautiful curved furnishings and like, the little glowy spots and like the plasticky kind of feel to it, and little touches of, the fishes and the water and that sort of thing. So that's kind of the vibe that I was going for with this build. It was such a different style. I've never built in this sort of style before. And the reason that I went with the artwork from the gallery for this was just because it had such a specific theme to it, and it was going to be really difficult to capture that theme with just the art that we have in The Sims 4. I don't know, I get really frustrated with the art that we do have in The Sims 4. Like, there's not a lot of stuff that I really truly like. I feel like sometimes it's a little too specific to whatever pack that it came out, and it just sometimes, I don't really want a gaudy gold framed saxophone player in all my art, and there's just like so much of that art, and I don't know why. I mean, great for if you're making a specific maybe nightclub or something, but building the more sort of generic I feel like sometimes things are in the game, it just makes it more usable. So having more neutral art in the game in like a variety of colors would just be magnificent. You know, things like the refined living room kit where, you know, you have some really nice neutral style art. I find that sort of thing a lot more usable than the very specific saxophone player purple and gold thing, you know, because I'm not always building a nightclub. Pretty much always not building a nightclub, very rarely. So yeah, I get very frustrated with the art. So it was actually quite interesting going onto the gallery and specifically looking for a particular type of art that would work with this house. Um, yeah, I got lost in a absolute beautiful world of amazing art that we could have in The Sims 4 that we just don't have. And it was like CC shopping, except there was no CC involved. It was just the gallery and just downloading all this art. And I found these amazing art creators on the gallery. And I did actually put that in my gallery listing. I'll try and remember to put it in the description below for you guys as well. Some of the artists that are up on the gallery, just amazing. What they can create in the game, no CC, just from, you know, painting from reference and that sort of thing. So absolutely incredible. Anyway, I'm going to come back to that in a little while because we're going to be heading inside probably soonish. But I'm still finishing on the outside. I did struggle with which lot to put this on, and then, you know, I just couldn't find a lot that was going to look good in the style that I wanted. I wanted sort of like a little bit more of a jungly style, but Tomarang didn't have the lot size that I needed with a good gallery view, basically. And Solani, I felt like it was a little bit too beachy. Like it sort of suited the style of the house, but again, just a little bit too beachy for what I was trying to build here. So it was a struggle. So I just ended up building a new crest, and I thought, you know what, Alchemistic can pop this wherever they like, and it'll be good wherever. That was kind of my thought behind it. So I've got like little jungly touches in some of the plants and bits and pieces that I chose with the landscaping, but I just wanted to make it quite flexible for wherever it can be placed. So on the exterior here, you can sort of see I'm doing a few little different things. So with the pool, I created a sort of inset hot tub. So the pool has the hot tub, you know, right in the middle of it. So I just created that by lowering a platform. I think it's either that or I did a basement. I can't quite remember. I wasn't paying attention when I built it there. And yeah, basically you did steps down to the hot tub and just did it like that. Not too tricky a trick to do it like that. But it looks quite cool. So I wanted to do that, have the hot tub sort of thing, and I wanted to pop the green against the white on the exterior as well. So, you know, touches of the green and the touches of the blue with the pool as well. And quite a few fountains around the place because, again, water played a really strong part in the design and the style of this house. And I wanted to not only have that on the inside, I wanted to have that on the outside as well. So, you know, did a like little fountain around this little barbecue area that I'm creating right now. I thought this was quite cute. I love the idea of it being raised and just being a really specific area on the exterior of this build, and have a cute little dining entertainment area. And I thought that was really nice. And separating it out a little bit from the pool area, which does dominate in this backyard area. The other thing was with this, it's a little bit more of a minimalistic style. I feel like I did not achieve that in the kitchen. I added quite a lot of clutter in the kitchen, but I felt that the kitchen kind of lent itself to being a little bit more cluttered. But I was kind of aware that I didn't want to overdo the clutter in this build and keep it like a little bit more simple. So I'm hoping that I kind of achieved that. But finding things that would work with this build, definitely a challenge in The Sims 4. But there is stuff. You just have to look, you know, a little bit harder, and you can kind of get there, like the little glowy items. I used the RGB strip lights from my high school years all around the house, and so that's the item that I chose to really glow up the house, basically. You might see this at some point when I'm doing some more of the lighting. There's a little color wheel that pops up. So that color wheel comes with VelvettB By, which is a mod created by Twisted Mexi. So that's part of the mod that I use. and basically you just saw it right there. Uh, so basically you just uh, hold down shift and click on a light, and it'll give the color wheel option to come up, and you can just pick and choose the color that you use, and you can choose to have this room, this build, or this light. So you can basically choose how you want to light that area, so just that specific light, or you can choose to do that specific room, so the whole outside could be done, or you can do the whole build. I believe that's the case. So yeah, if you're wondering where that color wheel came from, that is actually from the Better Build by mod. You can do this in game without a mod, but you need to do it in live mode and have a sim actually do it. So if you are on console, you can actually do this. It just takes a little bit of time and effort, and it would be probably quite a challenge to do a build like this in bulk, perhaps. But I don't know. I don't think it'll be too bad if you're just changing the whole room on the outside. It wouldn't be too bad to do that with the sim. But I haven't experimented with that side of things because I've always had the color wheel, so I haven't actually done it in game with just a sim. So privileged with my mod. I love that mod though. Better Build by fabulous mod. It's my fave. Anywho, so I'm just doing the finishing touches on the exterior, just like a little bit of furnishing and bits and pieces. And again, I didn't want to go overboard with lots of different items and lots of different furnishings, so I'm just trying to keep it as simple and as on point as I can. So a little bit of seating out here. What I'm doing around the ground is using from SPA-Day, I'm just talking about the table area, there's a little floor thing from a floor light from SPA-Day, and I use that to outline, and then I used a bit of confetti, I think from the Party Essentials pack, and use that on the floor just to create like a little bit of texture on the ground around there, just like a faux rug. And then with the fountains, I've just like added the fireflies as well as, little fishies in there, because fish water, that's a big part of the Frutiger Aero style. So I'm leaning into like there's fish in the pool, there's fish in the fountains, there's going to be like an aquarium in the house, stuff like that. Just creating like a little lit up statue around the front there. And I'm just doing the same thing as I did around the table with the confetti and the border, just to create like a little faux rug, flooring area. Speaking of faux, I'm creating a faux doorbell at this point. So I think I'm using the little SPA-Day hook thing, and then I'm using the mega lump and shrinking it down just to create like the little faux doorbell. Ding dong. And then I came up with this idea of having like this little round porthole with like bubbles coming up from it, from the bar bubble thing that we can get in the game, and that's from Dine Out, the bubble wall. So I used that quite a bit around the place, which I think was quite cool. So again, just like that slightly nautical theme and bits and pieces. So I thought I'd do the pool, the pool things that you get from, I want to say, Island Living, I think. And then there was like a little garden area that I created. I created this weird sort of triangle area, and I just had it in my head that it was going to be a garden area. I did want to make this a functional home that could be played in, so I did want to add in like some hobby stuff where money could be made from this lot if they needed to. So we are now moving to the inside, and this on the inside is a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home. This build is designed for a polyamorous, non-binary sim with their 2 partners. So this is a very specifically in mind build for the specific kind of sims, but I think you can kind of make it whatever you like. And this is my faux aquarium that I'm creating. I wanted to have like a rounded walls for this like little aquarium because it's something that I couldn't achieve with pools in here. I tried, and just like it was all really glitchy and flickery as soon as I put windows on the pools. I do wonder with the new update with the glass walls that had just come out yesterday, whether or not that would make a difference with pools. I wonder. Oh, that would be quite cool. Anyway, so I'm using the Island Living debug sort of reef items, and I'm using the rocks from Snowy Escape, and I'm using the marble jar from For Rent. and I basically made it giant and put an aquarium in it. Okay, and then I used like lights on other end just to cover up the fact it was a jar, although hopefully it doesn't look too much like a jar. I feel like it looked quite cool in there, but I wanted to have like a rounded aquarium, and it was just not happening. It was not happening with pools. I tried it on multiple occasions. It was just so flickery and horrible. I just was like, can't do it. And then I came up with this idea, and I was just like, you know what? I've got an aquarium in here. Yes. So made it work. So on the bottom floor, we do have, so the living room will be the aquarium, and you can see the first of the custom art coming in here. And so we've got the lounge area is where the aquarium is, so it's kind of like, you know, little TV nook and seating. And then this is the main entrance hall area. So I did want to make it quite artsy, and it's all about the art on the inside, basically. I themed each of the bedrooms around particular pieces of art, and the art is definitely getting a highlight in this game. What I did is I created a whole room that I could download from the gallery. So I went through, I found all the art that I wanted to do, and then I created a room with it. So I've got like a little tiny thin room that I could just pop down into the lot, and I just pulling from that particular room of all the art that I wanted to use, or could possibly use. So yeah, so I've got that room placed down, and I'm just pulling from that as I'm adding to the house. So you'll see me going back and forth with that as I add particular little rooms or particular pieces of art to the rooms. So very much leaning into sort of the light aquas and sort of seafoamy type colors, and definitely very watery, and that's the theme, right? That's what I'm trying to achieve anyhow. And man, can I just say the difference having really nice art in a house makes, like, wow. I mean, imagine like this art is possible to have in the game. No CC. I mean, imagine if The Sims just went through and had all this stuff available to us as base game. I mean, how beautiful would our houses be? Oh, amazing. So I'm just doing like a little platform here with like a driftwood and stones, just like a little beach scene in the middle there. I just felt like that room needed a little feature area. The other room that I downloaded was a room of seashells, because, you know, we're going beachy, so kind of beachy, kind of watery, and I felt like the shells would be appropriate, so I downloaded a shell room as well. It's amazing what you can get from the gallery. I found all sorts of fabulous things on there. Now, there was a downside to this. So I found with the gallery art, they did conflict with my mods, because I got this all designed. So you can see them here. I've got my mod on, and it's all good. But then when I went to go back, and, you know, I left the game, went to go back into it, the canvases were all blank. And yeah, that was obviously an issue. I then retried it with taking my mods out, because I had actually saved the house to my gallery before I went out, and I always do that because it's a safety thing, right? Don't always just save, always save to your library. Very important tip. It will save you more times than you know, doing that as a regular thing. So I saved this to my library before I exited out, and it had obviously all the gallery stuff placed super nicely. And then when I logged back in, and then all the canvases were blank, I was just like, oh no, because this whole house is designed around, you know, this gallery art. So I did a bit of research, and I saw that, you know, if I took the mods out, it might fix the problem, and you know what, it did. So I took all my mods out, made sure I had move objects on, replaced the house, and voila, they were all back there again. So I think if you are interested in getting this house into your game, just be conscious of that fact that there may be a mod conflict depending on what mods you have in, and if it does sort of disappear the art, there is an option to get it back. So just place the build back into your world without the mods, and I think you should be okay. I hope, fingers crossed. But you know, anyone on console I think should be good. Because you don't have any mods. So I think, you know, anyone on console would probably have no issue, I think, with this. So the only thing is, yeah, if it yeah, no, I don't see any problems for console. If it's showing up as no CC, I mean, it should be fine, right? Anyway, I think I was talking before about the rooms that I had down on the bottom floor, and then I got interrupted. I just went off on a tangent. So down on the bottom floor, I've got the living room, which is where the aquarium is. We did the TV, a bit of seating. There's a gaming table, and then there is the dining room and the kitchen. They're kind of joined together, but in separate rooms. And then there's the bathroom, which we're working on at the moment. So this is the downstairs guest bathroom. I did want to have, like, a really cool painting in here just to make it, quite, well, I mean, as I said, this build is all about paintings. So I just wanted to have show off paintings basically in most rooms. So this is the show off painting, I guess, I put in this room, although I put a couple of different paintings in this room. And just a note on putting the hanging bath accessories on the side of the bath. Put it on the other end, because on playtesting I had to shift those down to the other end because they were interrupting the sim getting in the bath. So the end with the tap is the end that you shouldn't put them on, which is the end I put them on initially. But I did shift them down to the other end of the bath. Absolutely fine for the sim to get in that way. But yeah, just if you have the little hanging accessories from the Sleek bathroom kit on the edge of the bath, just move it down to the end that does not have the tap. That'll help you out a lot, and your sim should be fine getting in and out of the bath with those on there. But with them on there, they wouldn't get in the bath. So I don't know. You would think they'd be able to step over it, but no. And then this is the garage. So the garage I didn't design as a garage. The garage was always going to be designed as an artist studio. So the non-binary sim that lives in this house is an artist, and I wanted to give them their own sort of artsy space. And it's quite a different vibe, I feel like, from the rest of the house, because it is full and it is cluttered. But that's kind of, I wanted to have that just space, that artsy space that was cluttered and slightly different from the rest of the build. And it was a very specific, space for this sim to create their art. And that was a converted garage kind of feel as well. So I wanted to have all of those things in there, so that it was very much their space. And I feel like I did that. And I just wanted to add, like, little touches of neon in here as well. So again, just bringing that neon sort of glowy vibe to the room, with still keeping it as like a converted garage art studio thing. So there's a couple of easels as well as a digital art pad in there, so they can sit there and do what they're going to do with their little inspirations and bits and pieces. So I think it came together quite nicely. Now I'm moving on to the dining room and the kitchen. So the dining room, I saw this mat that I put into the other bathroom, and then I was like, oh, I like that sort of plasticky kind of look to it, because I felt like that worked with the style of build that we were doing. So, that sort of plasticky style. So yeah, I was like, oh, that mat is fantastic for the dining room. So that's what I did. I put this plasticky kind of mat. I liked how it had that outside around it, like the lighter see-through, slightly transparent outside, and then like the solid color on the inside. I thought that was cool. And that worked really nicely with the beautiful art that I chose as well. Makes me sad to like do this sort of home and see all this beautiful art and all these, things that we could have in the game and that we don't have in the game. It's just, I feel like it's a little too difficult to put this art in the game if it's going to disappear with my mods. So it's probably not something that I'm going to do with any regularity, is, venture out into using the gallery art. But man, it's a shame. It's a real shame. Like, if it didn't disappear, I would have just like be all over that all the time because it's so beautiful. But yeah, if it's a problem, I just don't want to go down that road. I just want to, have homes that are easy to download and easy to use. But I think this would be, but I did have that issue, and I just want to make people aware that that issue was there, and it was caused by having mods in the game. So by removing those mods, problem solved. But with mods in your game, there may be an issue with the canvases disappearing. So I want to make sure that people know that. It's probably important. I think it's a gorgeous build. I love the style of it, and I had such a good time just kind of looking through inspirations and just getting ideas. And I went through, how many times? I don't know how many iterations before I got to the point where I built this. But I tried like a whole lot of different things to create this build. And you know, the initial house that I built is actually I'm going to turn it into a slightly different house. But I like I like the shape of the house that I built initially for this, but it was way too small, and I wasn't going to be able to fit what I wanted into this house, with the size of the house that I had. So, you know, I'm going to turn that into something else because I really like the shape. It was like a really cool curvy kind of shape and bits and pieces. It looked awesome, but it just wasn't big enough. So then my second build that I tried, which I tried in very like the second style of build was just, I think I restarted it 10, 11, 12 times. Like, I'm not even kidding. And this is not normally something I would do, but I was trying to figure out pools in a house. And this is where I was just kind of playing around with the idea of having an indoor pool in the middle of like a living room, but a round one. And it was just like every time, no matter which way I did it, as soon as I started doing curved walls pools and windows on the curved walls of the pools, it was just glitchy as anything, really flickery inside the game, and it was just horrible. And it was just like, oh, I really wanted some sort of curved watery thing in my house, and I just can't get it. And that's where I went off and came up with using the jar and creating an aquarium that way. But yeah, I just tried a variety of things to try and get a house with pools on like different layers. It just wasn't working. So this is the third um, iteration of the shape of the house, and I just like was like, you know what, we're just going with an ultra modern shape, doing something like quite a funky shape. I'll try and get as many curves as I can in, but you know, the game is what the game is, and curves just don't work well with the Sims 4, and that's just the reality of it. It's hard to make Sims work with curves. And you know, and it wasn't easy necessarily doing all of the curves that I had in here, but it worked, and I made it work. um, so yeah, but it was just a real journey getting to this point, because I tried so many different things and different ways to bring in that sort of that watery feel and that vibe from, you know, Frutiger Aero. And uh, not an easy prompt in The Sims 4, but man, it just made me think and just get creative, and I loved that. So this is the first of 3 bedrooms in the game, or in this house, and this bedroom took on quite a few different shades. So at the moment, I'm going quite dark blue and purple. I'm trying to work that in with the artwork. So we've got these like watery silhouettes of women. Um, I thought this artwork was really cool. I liked the artwork, and I wanted to keep it because I thought it had that neon feel. It was still sort of watery, um, but you know, it had like a little bit of a different vibe to it from what I've been using in the downstairs area. So I just wanted to do something a little different in terms of colors in this room. But the more I looked at it, the more it just was really quite different from the house. And I still wanted this room to still feel like it was part of this house. And at this point, it's just not feeling that way. So you'll see probably very soon, I will switch it up a little bit. Like, I'll keep most of this stuff in here, but I'll just change the shading on like the carpet and the bits and pieces around the place, just to make it look a little bit more sort of blue green, I guess, a little lighter, because I feel like this room got a little too dark, and that's what I took issue with like, it just got a little too dark. And that's not what this build is about. It's about light and bright and glowy and happy and, you know, kind of retro cool and, you know, watery and lovely. So this is me going, you know what, I need to go a little bit lighter. And so I'm sort of leaning in a little bit more to the pink vibe. So it's sort of pinks and blues and then aquas. So just continuing the aqua theme, which I did throughout the house, sort of the sort of aquas and greens and blues. But just something like a slightly different combination in this room, I feel like. But it did require me to just sort of fluff around a little bit just to try and get that balance right. Like, sometimes with a room, when you are decorating a room, it does take a while to get the balance that you're happy with. And this was one of those rooms where it did take me a while to get to the point where I was happy with the balance of colors in the way that it worked. So, you know, um, I did lean away a little bit from the greens, a little touch of it here and there, but I leaned a little bit more into sort of the pinks and purples in that room and the blues. Oh, sorry, not the pink. Yeah, pinks, purples, and blues. So the blue sort of was the theme that I carried through, and a little touch of green here and there. Then this is the landing area. So again, just leaning into aquariums and the greens and the sort of the greeny blues. And it was quite nice and bright in here. And I just wanted to paint the walls in this room. Like the rest of the house is pretty much white, but I wasn't going too glowy in this room as far as the lighting went. So I felt like I could get away with, changing the wallpaper in this room. And this was this bedroom here. It's the second bedroom. This is another bedroom where I wasn't going particularly glowy. Like the first bedroom I did with the purples and blues and the pinks, I was going still quite glowy in that room. Whereas this room here, I didn't go glowy. This is more about the paintings and the color. And I wanted to sort of go greeny, sea foamy sort of colors in this room to work with like the shell paintings and that in there, which were quite vivid and bright. But I feel like I toned it down a little bit with the green that we used. So it was very much leaning into, I guess, the Love Struck pack, Little Touches of High School Years as well. Like High School Years was a really good expansion pack for this style of build, gotta say. It had some really good items in it. The Decor to the Max pack I ended up using a little bit of as well, which was quite cool. I didn't want to really go maximalist style in it, but it has some funky pieces which worked. So yeah, and I wanted to have like each of the Sims that live in here, I feel like they're gamers, they're really into sort of their gaming and that sort of thing. So I wanted to have like plenty of PCs and also cubes. So, doing your console kind of multiplayer options on the TV as well. So I wanted to have that option in the game too. So yeah, that was very much just thinking about which Sims were going to live in this house and what things they would enjoy. So gaming for sure. So this is the shared bathroom on the second floor. So they don't really have an ensuite as such, but it's sort of shared between the two bedrooms, the second bathroom, because there's a bathroom on the bottom floor, bathroom on the middle floor, bathroom on the top floor. And I did use the sand flooring from Snowy Escape around the baths. I thought that was a really cute idea. And I wanted to sort of lean into, again, just like that touch of beach, that touch of ocean, just get you thinking about water, even in the bathroom. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that theme through because I wasn't going so bright and glowy in the bathrooms, but I still wanted to have, a little something in there that was a nod to the style of the build. So I feel like that was how I did it. And in the bathrooms, I wanted to have sort of bright, vibrant accessories because, just bringing that little bit of brightness to the bathroom just through the accessories, because I felt, they were sort of into that style of accessory, like, with cool colors on it, cool designs on it, cool smells, and that's the style of bathroom accessory that I wanted to bring in. I'm using a lot of the sleek bathroom kit as well because the sleek bathroom kit is just amazing. That's the end of that story. It's just amazing and I wanted to use it. So this is the upstairs bathroom, so the top floor, the third floor, and again, just make sure you put that, if you're going to hang that accessory on the outside of the bath, hang it on the other end, not that end, because you'll have to move it. And yeah, just using like a cute little art. I actually made this room a little glowy up the top and added some cool art to the walls as well. And then this is the third and last bedroom. There was this piece here with this cool octopus on it. And I was just like, oh man, I love the colors in this. I think it's really cool. And I mean, an octopus, obviously, we're getting into the watery side of things. So I wanted to really just bring in those colors into this room, sort of those aquas and blues. And this room, again, I'm going glowy on. So this is why I kind of reflected that in the bathroom, because I'm going glowy in the room, I'm going glowy in the bathroom, So it's just like a double bed, and I wanted to do, rather than a rug, I did like a beach kind of flooring around it, and then we've got a cute little wardrobe, and then there's going to be a little seating area with a TV, and it's going to have a cube on it, so it's like a console multiplayer gaming, so the three of them can game together in that space. So I thought that was really cool, and I like how it came together, and I like how I themed each of the rooms around, these different pieces of art that really struck me and that I really liked. So wanted to bring that in. And again, with these chairs that we got from the Blast from the Past event, I really liked these for the build just because of that plasticky feel, and I think that's just kind of like part of the vibe of Frutiger Aero is having like that little bit of that plasticky, futuristic kind of retro thing, which futuristic retro seems counterproductive, but sometimes, you know, futuristic things do have a retro vibe to them as well, and that's kind of what I leaned into when I could. So let's take a tour of the build and how it ended up. So I don't think there was much change that I needed to make between how the build was created and then what I needed to make as far as changes go from, you know, play testing, because there's always going to be that, you know, you build it and then there's a little window where you play test it and then you have to make changes to make things work. So I don't think there was too much that I needed to change to make it work, but it wasn't overly cluttered. It was, you know, fairly spacious. It was just things like the bath, making sure that, you know, they could use the bath and things like that. But I love the glowy effect at night. You know, not only do you have the glowing lights, you've got the fireflies running around, but then you contrast that with the daytime, and it is white, but you can see those little pops of blue around the place. And because there are so many windows, you know, I think you can kind of see into some of the artwork that's in the house as well, which I think is really cool. And the little pops of green really do contrast so nicely with the house on the exterior, with the landscaping and the plants around the place. So I don't know. I was really happy with how this came out. Just like the watery theme. We've got fountains everywhere. We've got the pool. You know, we've got all sorts of things that I think really lean into that as much as I possibly could. We've got that bar up there. We've got like plenty of seating. And I feel like, you know, it's going to be really nice for Sims to actually live in. I love, this is probably my favorite room is the entrance area. I just love like the artwork. I love um, the little beach themed platform there, and just the light coming down, and yeah, just the glowiness and the prettiness of it. I loved that little anemone, sorry, what is it, ammonite painting, and you know, just the floaty little fishies in there in the aquarium. Creative idea. And this little TV area, again, just like very gaming centered, because the Sims that do live in here are gaming centered. And you know, they've got the three consoles, three headphones. It's really designed for three Sims to live in. So I hope you can sort of see that reflected in the build, just like the threes. And I just, yeah, I really love the colors that I chose and how it all sort of came together. As I said, the kitchen is cluttered, but I feel like that's kind of the heart of the home as well. This is where, you know, maybe they're going to cook together, and this is where, you know, the little bits and pieces will get left out, you know, while they're in between things. And, you know, there's snacks and bits and pieces, because they don't have a walk-in pantry, so you kind of got to see some of the stored items. But I think it came together well. I hope you guys enjoyed the build, and yeah, I think it was a fun one, and it was a really good challenge. And if you aren't familiar with the Frutiger Aero style, just have a wee Google and see what you think of it. Definitely a challenge to bring into The Sims 4, for sure. Oh, that dust bunny! I did get rid of that dust bunny. I saw it after I recorded this, and I was just like, "Oh, dust bunny." Sometimes when I'm playing or playtesting for so long, the dust bunnies appear in a house, and I'm just like, "Grr." Frustrating. But yeah, I mean, the art really was an important part of this build, so I feel like, you know, it does make the build, but I think you can put your own art in there if you don't want to fuss around with the gallery art, if you have any issues with that. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoy building this house, and yeah, always good to have a good challenge, right? So remember, if you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe, and thank you for watching again. I will catch you in the next one, and have a good day. Bye bye.